Welcome to Power Up Recovery with Nutrition. It is time to make nutrition part of the conversation. I'm your host, Christina Veselak, and I'm so glad you're here. Did you know that it's our brain's job to allow us to cope with stress gracefully? But to do that, it needs to be fed optimally. Have you ever wondered why so many committed people relapse or maybe even die? Why so many people on psychotropic medication still feel lousy and still have cravings? What if the missing piece is food, the right food? What if the right nutrients like amino acids or even eating protein every 4 hours could actually balance your brain chemistry and your mood without medication and support lasting recovery? In this podcast, we explore the powerful connection between feeding your brain well, mental health, relapse, and recovery from addiction. We will share insights from experts, inspiring recovery stories, and practical strategies you can use today. Whether you're in recovery, a healthcare professional, or someone passionate about emotional well being, this show is for you. Let's dive in and discover how fueling your body and brain with the right food, the right amino acids, and other key nutrients can fuel your transformation today. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Power Up Recovery with Nutrition. This is where you'll find exciting stories of recovery using nutrition and feeding the brain what it needs to repair itself and function optimally. You'll hear from experts, you'll hear from practitioners, and you'll hear wonderful, inspiring, and very informative conversations. Today, I want to welcome Paige Speers. Um, onto our podcast. She has a very inspiring story of recovery and some really wonderful insight to share with us all. So welcome, Paige.
Thanks, Christina. Where I've gained my experience and expertise is through surviving blood clots in my lungs that led to oxygen deprivation brain injury when I was 32. And that happened about 9 years ago in 2016. And since then, I've discovered what's helped me also in my journey of recovery from emotional issues and medications for those. And that is what I'm thinking caused the blood clots and finding natural ways to optimize my health.
Now, have you found ways to help other people using your experience?
Absolutely. That's what I do. And that's what my business, the Choose Greater Health community, is about. I have a vision of creating a community for other brain injury survivors and their caregivers, and have a place like this to hear from functional and integrative medical professionals through a directory where they can share their whole person focused resources for better recovery outcomes.
That's so exciting. I did not know that existed. When did you start that?
Got the formal business incorporation in 2023.
Congratulations. And is it going well?
Yeah, so far using the show as my initial platform, it's getting the word out.
That's excellent. I think having a place for people in recovery from brain injury and caretakers and family members for more information, for support, for encouragement is so vital.
And I'm also in 3 other brain injury support groups on Zoom. There's my
Mhm.
local one, and there's one based in Georgia but global, and there's another one also run by a stroke survivor.
Now, are you familiar with Dr. Michael Lewis?
The name doesn't sound familiar.
So he does research using high dose omega 3 fatty acid to repair brain injuries from a variety of sources, including overdose from, like heroin and other opioids. and he has gotten amazing results using high dose fish oil. So I was wondering if that was one of the methodologies you've used for yourself.
Well, I've been currently taking two fish oil capsules, omega 3s, three times a
Hmm.
day. So that's the highest dose of that I've had so far. And I've been doing that since January. And I've
Okay,
also heard about high dose vitamin C for cancer treatment, for instance.
absolutely. So could you please share with us what worked for you in your recovery from brain injury and from stroke?
Well, it was oxygen deprivation, and that was due to the blood clots building up in my lungs and cutting off the oxygen supply.
Ah,
And
okay.
yeah, so what I've been taking mostly is currently a multivitamin with iron, and I've had some challenges with getting my iron balanced, and also estrogen balance and
Hmm.
hormones in general. And I took Chase Tree and also FemGuard, and those were herbal blends, and neither of those quite had much of an effect, even taking them for several months at a time. So I've moved to a homeopathic uh, formula of Sepia C3, and I've been taking a dropper of that every day, and that has seemed to have a good effect to balance and stabilize things. And also the omega 3s that I mentioned, and vitamin D3, I was low in that for a while. So we got the insurance to cover that, having a documented deficiency,
Nice.
and magnesium glycinate, and also some GI detox things.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I've also gone gluten and dairy free for a month at a time, first last November and most recently this last month, and I'm continuing on that at least until I hear otherwise.
Sounds like a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I myself have been gluten free for going on 40 years, and it really turned my life right side up. So I think it can make a huge difference. Now, you have some ideas as to why you got these blood clots in the first place.
Yeah, and the anti-anxiety medication likely contributed to that, plus combination hormonal birth control, and taking those for 12 years, plus
Mm-hmm.
benzodiazepines, along with the SSRIs. And I think that all was brought on by nutritional imbalance, primarily due to long term antibiotics use. Also, I had doxycycline prescribed by my primary care provider when I was in high school for acne. And that was a mistake since there was no protocol nutritionally to maintain good microbiome health in that regard. So that suffered and likely led to the neurotransmitter imbalances. And I've since used 8 weeks of twice weekly neurofeedback sessions in the first year of recovery. And I think that had a big role in stabilizing me emotionally, getting me to a
Mm-hmm.
good baseline where the nutrition could come in.
I love neurofeedback. We've got several practitioners in our community, and we found that combining neurofeedback with amino acid and nutrient therapy really makes them each work more effectively and more efficiently.
Yeah, it does. And also in combination with my other therapies that I've discovered, like chiropractic adjustments, functional neurology. I did that initially a few
Mm-hmm.
years post injury when I got my disability back pay and could put that towards a 3 day initial intensive. And I got the exercises and diagnostics to better bring all the areas of my brain into balance with my body. And that was a good start there. And from there, a few years later, I moved into neuro movement therapy, and that is about uh, loosening up the fascia and relieving tension and really reminding my brain about the optimal movement pathways and getting in a better range of motion. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
following up with a few sessions of that recently with exercises to get my brain realigned with how my hips work in relation to everything else when I walk. So I've had exercises of lying on my stomach and pulling one leg up to a bent knee and then the other, and integrating that whole movement.
That's fascinating.
And also therapeutic horseback riding, since I started college as an equestrian major and I had been taking English style horseback riding lessons all through high school before that. And I'm still a very strong rider, and my horse knows and appreciates that.
He can't get away with anything, can he?
Yeah, they can't.
I think it's fascinating how movement can help our brain heal and rewire itself.
Yeah, although I got my BA in dance after having taken mostly ballet classes since I was 5, and that stuck with me too. Although I've really missed dance in the last few years, especially since the school where I graduated had a reunion for my department and a retirement party for the longtime jazz dance professor. So I went in the last jazz class she taught, and it's challenging to remember how it was before and work with what I still have.
That's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do some grieving and some acceptance and then some gratitude that you're able to move at all.
Mm-hmm. And I can still ride a horse the same as always.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So you've really found a multitude of different ways to heal yourself, sort of body, mind, spirit.
Yeah, it is
I
a
really
whole person approach.
I really think about things as, the three-legged stool, the biochemistry, so feeding the brain and the body and bringing it into balance, doing emotional healing and social bonding, and then spiritual work. In spiritual work, we can define in many, many different ways. But I think the foundation is learning to trust that life can become good again.
Yeah.
So, what changed in your diet, sort of pre anxiety, pre benzos, pre brain injury, and now? How has your diet changed between them then and now?
I've been more mindful of including more plants and vegetables and a balance of proteins and not so many carbs or and definitely not as many processed snacks and drinks.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
also part of where I was going wrong in high school.
ah, a lot of high school kids go wrong in that direction, don't they?
Yeah, at least where lunches went.
Uh-huh. So, what did you used to have for lunch in high school?
Sandwich and chips and something silly like zebra cakes and sweet tea that probably had HCFS in it.
Mm-hmm. And a ton of sugar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, those that many carbs, in my experience, actually really leads to anxiety in many, many people.
And the
I mean,
antibiotics, which also would have had a depleting effect.
and the antibiotics, which completely destroy your gut and your microbiome.
Yeah.
And all of the sugar you were eating also helps create gut dysbiosis.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you wish the doctors had done differently?
A lot of it. Like
Uh-huh.
although I have to say they probably are not trained in anything other than the pharmaceutical model.
No, there's such a tiny toolbox. It's really tragic.
Yeah.
So, is there anything in particular that you learned that you would either like to share with those doctors or share with other people?
There needs to be more emphasis on nutrition and how all systems interconnect in medical training. Either that or more functionally trained professionals should be available to people who
Mhm.
need that rather than just using a pharmaceutical approach for any given thing, and then the lab tests aren't even accurate, at least not the standard ones covered by most insurance.
That's right. Or they're not interpreted accurately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it took me being dissatisfied with that after a while to do the research and find local integrative and holistic medical providers for myself. And
Mm-hmm.
especially now when it's getting into really needing to look at the hormonal things going on.
Mm-hmm. So you're now 9 years post brain injury, post hypoxia, but now the hormones are heating up
Yeah.
as you move towards perimenopause.
Yeah. And I'm looking at if there has to be hormone replacement therapy, I'm looking at bioidenticals. That's what I'd like anyway.
I think
And
there are a whole.
optimizing what I still have.
I remember years ago when I was just moving through menopause and I was having a lot of hot flashes. I did two things, and to this day, I don't know which was most effective because I did them both at the same time. One was taking an herbal formula called Hot Flash Formula by Source Naturals. And the other was going on a homeopathic remedy, as you mentioned, and I cannot remember the remedy I went on, but I was working for a classical homeopath at the time, and she recommended this homeopathic remedy for hot flashes. And within a week, they completely went away, and I haven't had one since.
It's temperature regulation in general for me, either too
Uh-huh.
hot or too cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as hormones get dysregulated, everything can get a little dysregulated. But it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like your sepia homeopathic has made a difference for you.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool.
though my cycles are still a bit random.
That's kind of normal, I think, as we go through menopause
Yeah,
until they just don't come anymore, which made me very happy.
yeah,
I do not have a problem with aging. And so I was very relieved when that whole aspect of my life was behind me.
yeah. I just want to feel good.
Absolutely. And, when I went through menopause, I found that my mood did get a lot more dysregulated. And I had stopped taking a lot of the amino acids and the nutrients that I'd been dependent upon prior for mood regulation. And then I didn't need them anymore. And then I went through menopause, and then I did need them. And I needed to bring back in fish oil. I needed to bring back in some 5-HTP, some tyrosine, and some borage oil for the GLA, which I'm still on. Uh, so I'm, but after a year or so, I didn't need the aminos anymore. I just needed the basic foundational nutrition of the omega 3s and the GLA and then, the multivitamin. But
I also take a 5-MTHR methylfolate.
okay, so you've got some methylation issues.
Yeah,
Did it make a difference once you uncovered that and brought in the methylfolate?
I did at one point take a B complex, although now it's mostly in the multivitamin. Although
Mm-hmm.
that and the gluten and dairy free, and there's a GI Shield powder that I took a month of, and that's helped also. Yeah,
So
IgGI Shield.
I have some of that as well. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How did you discover that you had a methylation issue? Was that the gene site lab test?
Actually, that was muscle testing at the naturopath office.
Okay, okay, that's going to be very useful. But you told me earlier, I think, that you had taken the gene site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
though that was mostly about the medications, the pharmaceuticals.
Well, yes, it tells you how your genetics impact your pharmaceuticals, but one of the genes they look at to determine that is MTHFR. They look at a
Hmm.
lot of the detoxification genes because depending on how quickly or slowly you detoxify medication will help determine whether or not you're going to get side effects from the psych meds. But it also looks at your MTHFR. So your psychiatrist should have told you then that you had an issue.
Maybe they did, and all I got was a regular folate.
That could be. That could be.
And I currently take Xarelto, and that has hormonal implications for side effects. And that I think.
What is that?
Xarelto, anticoagulant.
Oh, okay.
I've been taking that for the last 9 years also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's a thing that's been a factor in supplement effectiveness too, and what really works in the whole hormonal balance picture.
Well, you've had quite a journey.
Yeah.
But now you get to use this to help and support other people as well.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on that, Paige.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's really cool when those of us who have gone through really painful things can kind of harvest wonderful stuff from it to share with the rest of the world.
Yeah, and I'm going to get back on a horse again for the autumn session in a few weeks.
Good for you. Good for you. All right. Anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
To keep your options open and keep asking questions.
That's, I think, very nice advice. And then how can people learn more about your supportive community?
I can send you the link to the Facebook group to include in the show notes. That's what I have so far.
Okay,
And
we'll
the
do that.
YouTube channel where my show is broadcast also.
And what is the name of your show again, Paige?
The Choose Greater Health Show.
Choose Better Health. So
Choose
those of you
Greater Health.
choose greater health.
Yes.
Okay, so those of you who want to follow Paige and get more information, please listen to her podcast. And I just got interviewed by her, so that's going to be up. Choose Greater Health podcast on YouTube and then a Facebook group. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Paige. If you liked this episode, please push the like button, subscribe to our channel, and please share this episode with as many people who you think would benefit from it. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Power Up Recovery with Nutrition. I'm Christina Veselak, your host, and I hope today's episode has inspired and equipped you with new insights and tools to support your recovery journey or practice. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who could benefit from the knowledge shared here. Stay connected with us for more episodes filled with practical advice, expert wisdom, and inspiring recovery stories. Remember, nutrition is a powerful tool in mental health and relapse prevention. Power up your recovery today. I'm Christina Veselak, and I'll see you next time.